Hi, this is a review of our Tech Classroom Strategies and Efficiency presentation. At the Park School, we have a one-to-one iPad program in 5th and 6th grade, and this is just going to review how to flip classrooms and also some of the text structure issues.
So what are the keys to a successful and efficient tech classroom? Number one is we flipped our classroom to enhance and differentiate learning. We'll talk more about flipping classroom in the next slide. Create a text structure in your class and organize it efficiently. And cater technology to the needs of your kids. So what is flipping? Basically, flipping your classroom is a model of instruction where you video yourself teaching a topic or content, and the students watch your video at home taking notes, and the next day return to class with that knowledge and do a project and present what they have learned.
Why do you flip? First of all, you gain valuable instruction time because you're freeing up that time that you would have normally been teaching the lesson. You're also engaging the students with activities and demonstrations.
You have a permanent library of your video lessons that are easy accessible to the students 24/7. They're either saved on your classroom or school website or on YouTube.
You never need to actually reteach a lesson. You simply direct your students to your videos, and if further instruction is needed, you can meet individually with students at that time.
Built-in differentiation. With your videos, the students can slow down and rewind your videos, re-watch them. Also, when they come to class, they can choose the way they show what they have learned. So that's built-in differentiation according to their learning styles.
Finally, you get increased one-to-one student interaction, and as we said, you get to walk around during the time of the project, and that way you truly get to see if the students understood your content.
Oh.
As you can see, even we make mistakes. Software for flipping. Basically, the big three, as we like to call it, for flipping, the type of screencasting software you would use is Camtasia Studio, Jing, which is a free video offer, which unfortunately only offers about 5 minutes of time, and it cuts off at that point. Plus there's no editing capabilities, so really that should be used by someone who's just starting out and wants to learn. And then Snagit is sort of just below Camtasia Studio. It's a little less expensive, and it doesn't offer the same type of editing capabilities, although you can edit in it. And then Camtasia has all of that plus a screen-in-screen capability as well. And coming soon is iOS app video creation. We've just started seeing this information on the website. You allow you to easily record your iOS apps and make app preview videos. So these should be very, very, very cool. Also, the Snagit and Camtasia information, if you go to techsmith.com's website, there's a free offering of it for about 30 days. So
There's also tutorials that tell you about Camtasia and Snagit that help you learn the programs.
And here's the sales pitch real quick. You can receive a 30-day free trial from Snagit or Camtasia. And if you're interested in purchasing either Snagit or Camtasia, there is some educational pricing on TechSmith products. You can save right now up to about 40% on Snagit. And there's also volume pricing. So we'll talk to, I would talk to your administrators about that.
So some of the things we learned this year while we flipped our classroom is well, first I should back up. We give guided closed passage notes while the students are watching the videos. They must fill those notes in. So one of the things we learned was to include information in the video that you say but don't have written on the screen. That way the students have to listen to your voice and can't turn the sound off, which some students did.
The other thing I'll mention before we move on is you want to keep your videos to about 10 minutes to 12 minutes in length at the most. This particular video will probably run over that, but as a rule of thumb, probably 10 to 12 minutes is what you want to do. We also make it a grade, and we check their notes each day, and if they have not done the notes, the closed passage notes, then you are unable to do the in-class activity until the video is watched. Many kids actually will go to the library at that time and watch it to do their notes. Kids don't like missing these activities, so usually you won't have a problem with them not doing it.
Another thing we've learned is to have a 5-minute quiz or question and answer session at the beginning of class to see if kids understood the concept. One of the things that you might want to do is go over the notes to make sure the students have the correct information, ask if they have any questions, or quiz them to make sure they understood the information.
You will be able to meet with each student each day by simply walking around and seeing if they understood the concept as they're working on their projects. So we'll talk more about the projects and the structure of the projects later, but again, this is a key part of flipping your classroom.
Another important key to flipping is teaching digital citizenship. Make sure you know your acceptable use policy at your school so that you can enforce it with your students. Also ask administration for professional development on using technology. Using iPads in particular was useful to us. Make sure the students are using that technology appropriately.
So for text structure in your classroom, there's really 3 or 4 main points we want to talk about. First is rules, rules, and more rules. Next is interactive modeling. Next is parent training, and finally incorporate tech pieces into your daily routine. Okay, so when we talk about rules, rules, and more rules, you really are, just like any teacher, you're going to start from day one. There's a few issues you really want to address right from the get-go. One is, when may technology be used? We have designated times during the day, so there's absolutely no confusion as to whether or not kids can use it. Another option is simply putting a symbol up on the board of some kind, or a notation saying, designated iPad time, and then you would say what is allowed in that particular time. Is it Kindle only, in other words, some kind of a book online, or can you actually use creation tools? Next, what technology may be used? Your school probably has a list of approved devices, so you want to check with your administration to see what devices are used, but again, that's a discussion you need to have with your kids. Also, how will it be used? Lessons on digital citizenship, as Nicole just mentioned. Also, what approved apps or sites can they even get on? Again, we're not, at our school at Park, we're not allowed to, or the students are not allowed to play games during the academic time, so therefore they know that from the beginning. So again, you need structure.
So interactive modeling, one of the things that we have used at the Park School is something called Responsive Classroom. It's a research and evidence-based approach to elementary education that leads to greater teacher effectiveness, higher student achievement, improved school climate. We do this by recognizing each student, having fun, and engaging the student accordingly. As for interactive modeling, in order to create organization and structure in using technology, you model what you expect of the student, the correct behavior for using the technology. You then discuss with the students what they saw, what they noticed. Then have the students list acceptable uses, so that therefore you create your rules in using that technology. And then create posters for use in class guide so that the students can refer back to that list whenever they need to.
This is simply an example of the type of poster. It's okay. An example of the type of poster that we use with iPad rules. It is basic, and we understand that, but again, you can cater yours to the age group you're teaching. So for instance, rules about iPad use, how to use it, when to use it, what devices are acceptable in your school. Again, these need to be posted somewhere in the room so kids can't later claim, I didn't know. So really, it's important to have some kind of a poster or a list of some kind in your room accessible to kids so they know about it in the beginning of the year.
Another useful piece of information is to cater or to change the wording of your acceptable use policy at your school to kids' terms so that they understand it. Have them sign this acceptable use policy in the words that they understand so that you have a copy of it and the students understand what's expected of them with use of technology.
Don't want to underestimate the importance of parent training. Parents can be your biggest ally or potentially one of your biggest enemies on this. They have to understand what their son or daughter is doing when it comes to technology. Not every parent is tech savvy, and usually their kids are much more tech savvy than them. So I guess what I would say first of all is it's beneficial to have parents buy into technology, and transparency for that is key. You have to make them understand what's going on. A way to do that is to basically create videos, short videos, a screencast video like you would do for your kids, and put them up on your website for them to review. You can maybe discuss this during the open house night or go to school night in the beginning of the year so that the parents feel more comfortable about what you're doing. Also give them a list of the apps that the kids would be using so they know that they can feel more comfortable about why they're using it. Training on those apps is also kind of a good idea if you can squeeze it in. They're then better able to understand and monitor their own son and daughter, and they're also, I think another important key, and I should say, think another important key is to train them on the use of your class page and your gradebook if you have them, because parents, once they understand how to use the gradebook or the class page, will cease to send you unnecessary emails and phone calls, which you would have avoided had you trained them in the first place. So again, training is key.
So we're going to incorporate your technology into your daily routine. Here's where the rubber meets the road. You're going to, number one, model the technology before using it so that you know the students know what's expected. Be consistent in the use of technology. If you use an app for class management, use it consistently, and so the students
know what is going to be expected throughout the year, and it's not used sporadically. And finally, keep the technology at a manageable level. You and only you know what is a manageable level for technology in your classroom. So don't try to incorporate all technology all at once. In fact, just do what feels comfortable for you, break it in slowly, and you'll find that it's much easier to use and you'll be more readily able to bring on new pieces of technology.
So utilize apps and websites to help manage your students. Edmodo is a useful app and website. It's versatile. It's blog type setup where you can post questions and students can answer them. The students can talk to each other. And it's private because you can add your students into your group and have them maybe discuss a book or ask questions about homework, and it's live and instant so they can talk to each other. They can also talk to you. It's very useful for group work as well.
Yeah, we like to use it actually for an online book club, and it's for the ELA people that might think flipping or using technology might not work. It's actually very helpful for those who are a little quieter in class and who don't like to talk. They feel more engaged when they're in an online setting and they can just type out their responses to an online book club.
Class Dojo is a behavior management app and website. Again, you can go online on the website and privately add all your students. They can accept the invitation, and also you can invite the parents to see. You can add desirable behaviors your students should be behaving like and undesirable behaviors, and keep track instantly in class if Susie is talking to another student or if Johnny is participating really well. They get points added and subtracted and see in live time how they are behaving and maybe change their behavior right away. You can also push an email out to the parents each day so that they can see the report of how their student acted and behaved during the day. Too Noisy Pro is a noise meter, so if you're looking for complete quiet and that noise meter goes up, you know someone's talking and the students begin to change their behavior.
And again, that goes back to using Class Dojo and Too Noisy Pro. All goes back to your incorporating that text structure in the beginning of the year. Really in that first week when you're talking about bathroom passes and the like, you want to also be talking about how the classroom management technology is going to be used and how it's not going to be used for that matter. So you want to make sure that's all in place early. Google Classroom is really a school learning management system, which is similar to what we have at Park already, which is we have a class page, which for each of the individual classes you have your own page. We also have an online gradebook that is tied into that class page. And again, as I said before, if your parents are properly trained on that website and that page, they can navigate it just as easily as their son or daughter. and will actually save you some time and energy in answering questions. It's paperless, it's transparent. It actually, Google Classroom is a new version using all of the education apps that Google has. And what's nice about it is you can actually use Google Drive to send out assignments for an entire classroom, and you can actually put a list of your class students on Google Classroom. And this, again, I should preface this with the fact that it's not going to be released until September of this year, so it's going to be very new. But it seems to be, it may work very well, especially for those of you that also use Google Drive pretty regularly for purposes of receiving and sending out drafts of papers to students. We can talk more about that as we go, but that could be a very helpful piece. Catering technologies to students' needs. As we all know about Mr. Gardner and his multiple intelligence, technology conveniently fits into all of the different type of multiple intelligence. And to go a little further, Universal Design for Learning by David Rose out of Harvard, to put his study simply, it says that kids need different means of learning and expressing what they have learned. And to move from there into the projects, we would simply say that kids need different ways to bring the knowledge in, and if using something like technology will help them learn better, we're going to use it. And I think these flipping classrooms is a means of doing that. And expressing what they have learned, that simply means that what form of assessment can we do that will cater to those learning styles, and that's what we talk about when we do projects.
So academic choice, going on learning styles, academic choice is a form of teaching where you give the students a choice in how they express what they have learned. Using the iPads as a creation tool, the students can use any app that they want to create a video, a song, a puppet show, to demonstrate the knowledge that they learned by watching the videos that you created in your flipped classroom. We have weekly or bi-weekly projects, and rubrics are given out so that the students know what's expected of them and they know how to participate, they know what to include. So you give your requirements and a rubric for work expected. You assign the video lesson on Friday so that the students may have the whole weekend to watch the video and take the notes. On Monday, you intro the project and the students work on the project throughout the week and present it on Friday. We always present because the students are really proud of what they've done and they like to express their knowledge and present their projects.
I'm going to jump in here real quick and say that when it comes to the internet access, we highlighted that simply because certain students may not have access to the internet at home, and giving them the weekend to utilize for purposes of watching the video might give them the opportunity to go to the public library or to an internet hotspot where they can hook up to the internet and watch the videos. Some of the concerns that were raised in our seminar was, what if they don't have any internet access or a means? In other words, they don't have an iPad that they can use. Well, we also could create DVDs. We haven't technically created DVDs. We can create DVDs that we have that technology, so we could actually give it to the student to use on a computer. And we could also give them opportunities in the morning or during the day, like say for instance lunch, to watch that video lesson. So we are aware of the fact that kids may not have that internet access, so you would have to sort of be flexible and structure your day such that they have time to watch the lesson if they can't do it at home. The four choices that we use, and again we sometimes use less and sometimes use more, but the big four are using technology. And again, when we talk about using technology, you could use a computer or an iPad. An iPad would be used for things such as ScreenChomp, which is a screencasting program, or iMovie, which is extremely popular with the kids. GarageBand creates music. Or the computer. In other words, they may do a Prezi presentation or a Google Drive presentation or a PowerPoint presentation of some kind. The second one is building. In other words, it's a very sort of old school non-technology way, but you could actually have them physically build something, and that's for those kinesthetic learners who need to get their hands dirty a little. Creating a play, skit, or song is always something that you can use to sort of express content back to the teacher, and a research report. And we note newspaper, and that's because many of the word processing programs now, like Word, or I think even in Google Drive Docs program, they have a sort of a model that you can use that mimics a newspaper, and so the kids may feel a little more comfortable in creating a newspaper. And all of these, as you can tell, could use technology in some way, shape, or form.
So here's the example of the rubric we might use if a student is doing an academic choice project. You lay out the requirements so they know exactly what's required of them. You make sure they cover the content. Make sure each person in the group, because the students are given the choice to work in a group or work alone, make sure each student in the group is contributing equally to the group. Make sure their project is well organized and that their presentation is well rehearsed.
And in a lot of cases, you could actually use the kids in the beginning of the year to come up with many of these. Although I would not recommend using everything they suggest, it definitely helps to do the basics so that they feel like they've had a part in this rubric. So some of the project examples we've worked on this year that incorporated technology or not. On the far left, over here, you can see we used the QR code reader, or as QR code creator, I should say, to create some QR codes that went along with some research reports we did on endangered species. Kids are really proud of these because they actually created their own blog, and there's a bunch of sites that you can create blogs on, or they created a website, or they directed people to a website. With the QR code, so they were really proud. They also, some of them even did their screencast. They actually tied their QR code to their screencast. So random people would walk up to the board and hold up their QR reader and actually watch them go to these student sites, and they were pretty excited about that. The one on the upper center is a student who did, and for those of you at the park, you might know who this person is, but this is a kinesthetic learning experience where they created a cutout of a globe, and on the inside, when she flipped it up, you could see sort of the strata of the Earth's crust and layers. And the two other ones, really, one is just showing Apple TV and use of Apple TV with, it looks like a Google Drive presentation, and the same with the far right, just using a straight Google Drive presentation on an interactive board. Again, these are all just examples of the different types of projects, and these were examples of the far three were examples of the presentations that took place.
So here's a list of the students' top 10 favorite apps, not just the students. Sometimes the teachers find that these are their favorite apps as well. Number one is iMovie. iMovie is a creation tool. The students love it to make movies, to create a presentation in iMovie. GarageBand, again, is creating music that may go along with an iMovie, or just creating music to present knowledge.
SlowPro is actually a slow motion video app that you would record something on your iPad or other device, and once you put it in a SlowPro, it actually slows down the video, and it's really helpful in demonstrating certain type of scientific experiments because you can actually see it take place a little more slowly. You can sort of control how fast or how slow you are going to use the video for.
Puppet Pals is also a presentation app. The students usually put pictures of their faces on puppets, and their voice goes over these puppets, and they present this puppet show on a certain topic. Edmodo, we talked about before, is blog-like setup where you may post questions, or the students post questions and they can discuss things together.
Whiteboard and Whiteboard, now jump down to ScreenShot, both can be used as kid-friendly screencasting platforms where the student can actually create their own screencast similar to what we're doing right now, but it's a much more kid-friendly way of doing it, and they can incorporate and embed some pictures, or they can draw pictures on it themselves and tell a story. The QR code reader is what we just talked about. You actually can create a QR code based on a picture. So you have a picture on the screen, you use that as your trigger, and then what happens is once the reader passes over that picture, it immediately takes you to that site or to that blog or whatever it be that you're taking them to. Erasmus works on the same concept, except usually it's used more for graphics, so you can pass over a picture with a Erasmus reader, and maybe you have embedded on that picture a dinosaur or something, and it literally pops out at you. It's like a three-dimensional almost figure coming out. The kids had a lot of fun with it. And you can use it for other purposes, not just that, but it was helpful.
Khan Academy is an app where students, I used it in my math rotations. Students would go to Khan Academy and do practice on a certain topic, and Khan Academy has a plethora of topics and not just math, but usually you can find the topic, and you as a teacher would have to preview this before you assigned it to your students, but it has practice problems and also videos that may reinforce a topic or a content area.
Okay, and we talked about ScreenShot already, so that is going to do it. Thanks for watching.